Hello. Welcome in. Hello. Welcome to Friday Night Edumacation. Because I have something I need to get off my brain. Hi guys. Hi Benighted. Congratulations on getting smacked in the face with a lemon 39 times. And hi, Loveless. Farting soon. I mean, you'd probably be farting, tooting a bit. You're falling into a void. Seems like a pretty scary thing. Might get a little out of you. I don't know. Hi, Bwed. Thanks for logging in. You found the access point. Nice job. Hi, James Lowe. Oh my goodness. So many people showed up to be edumacated. Are you guys sure about this? I was going to do an art stream today, but now that has changed. That I've acquired new information, and that has now changed. Also, my tracking abilities are going to be rough because I'm wearing an art glove on my hand, and my tracker doesn't like tracking this hand. I will use this one. Hi, Audie. Using the farts to propel yourself around in the air? Oh my golly. You guys need to be educated for sure. I hate to break it to you. The physics does not support your desire to propel yourself with flatulence. Does every sub come with lemonade? Oh my goodness, yippee! Question. Thank you for doing that, Audie. I needed to test this. Did you guys hear the alert notification for that alert? Did you hear it? Because I figured out why we were not hearing music every time we hung out. I figured it out. But now I need to mess around with it to make it so we hear everything else. So somebody let me know. Rewind. Subbies can rewind the stream. Tell me if you heard when the little dude showed up in the corner, because that would be helpful. Anywho, you need to understand the enigma that is my mind. Yeah. Okay. So, in my spare time, you did? Okay. It's working. Thank you, Bled. Yeah, I'm sorry that there's nothing better going on tonight than learning about math, but to me this is very exciting. So in a lot of my spare time, I like to learn about math and cool math problems. I'm gonna zippy! Hey, I heard it that time. Let's go! I'm actually gonna make that alert sound louder. Thank you! Ah! Yeah, that's a different nerdy thing. Computer nerdy thing separate. I'll explain that later, but I did figure it out. Lemon is doing citrus hands. Cha-cha-cha-cha-cha. How about some jazz hands? I'll throw them in for you. Thank you for testing. I really appreciate that. And for subbing with your Prime Gaming sub. Wow. And for starting a hype train. Man, it's easy to start a hype train on Twitch these days. Okay, aside from the fact that my captions are broken, my brain is not. And I need to share this revelation with you. It's crazy. I'm gonna try, this is my goal, okay? So I watched a video today about some really cool math stuff. Oh yeah, they're back, look at that. I watched a video today about some really cool math stuff. You need a geometry level base understanding to be able to keep up. But I'm gonna try to break it down, okay? But if you are confident in your geometry level of understanding of math, you're gonna be fine. This stream is for you. I see what you did there. Someone sub so I can test my sounds. Well, what I was actually gonna do is I was gonna gift a sub in my own stream to test it, but since you already subbed, I saw the notification happen, but I didn't hear it. So I just wanted to know if you guys heard it. And if you guys heard it, that's perfect. That's good. But then I needed to also hear it so that, anyway, that's not important. You are unconfident in your ability to math or English. Okay, well, I'm going to try to explain this. And if we get something out of it, we get something out of it. If we don't get something out of it, this is going up on YouTube as a VOD. And the people interested in math on YouTube can check in and tell me what they think in the comments of a soon-to-be VOD about math. You're dusting off your Pythagorean theorem? Okay, cool. You don't need that, though. We're talking about circles. Circles. You need to know circle geometry. So we need to know about pi. So yeah, so let's do it. I'm ready. I want to explain this. Basically, I watched a video. I forgot I need to do this hand. I watched a video, and the concepts of said video, which was a Veritasium video, by the way. I'll link it when this is a VOD on YouTube, and you can go watch Veritasium's explanations and such. They explained this problem, and I was very dissatisfied because this is the reason I like math is because it has one right answer. Math is not wishy-washy about what you can achieve, which is why I say stats is not real math, because stats is wishy-washy. But math is not wishy-washy. And when I was originally learning about this problem, this conundrum, this paradox, it was wishy-washy, and I didn't like that. So, I watched the video, and I was still a little dissatisfied, so I did my own math, and now I'm satisfied, and I want to share that. Because heretofore, I've been looking for someone to explain out the math in this particular way, and they haven't. They're doing a lot of fancy stuff that you can go watch later, but they're not explaining the math the way I think is the most intuitive. So that's the point of today. That's the point of what we're doing. I'm going to re-explain a problem that plenty of other people have explained, but I'm going to do it from a standpoint that is a little bit different, which is the beauty of math. Math should only have one answer, but you can approach the problem from different angles, as it were, and that makes it interesting. But you should all get the same answer when you do it. Yeah, you can dust off your pie. That's great. From a lemon point of view, exactly. So we're gonna take the fruity route and do some fruity math. I hope you're ready. Okay, so, but again, this was Veritasium that clued me into this information. But let's go over here. I'm breaking out the whiteboard, guys. Hi, Danny. Welcome in. We're breaking out the whiteboard. Actually, it is a whiteboard. I was right the first time. Okay, anyway, let's go. Okay, so I'm gonna talk, and if you guys just want to listen, because you don't think you're gonna know what's going on, that's cool. If you have questions, ask your questions. I am certified in explaining things. Math ASMR. I mean, I don't know if it's... So, someone asked me once, not me specifically, but generally asking to the void, what is considered ASMR. And my answer to that was, for it to be ASMR, the focus needs to be on the auditory experience. That is not the focus of what we're doing right now. But if you like, if you find listening to nerd speak pleasing, then sure, math ASMR. Fine. What are we up to today? I'm going to explain a thing to you guys. So, let me make sure my tools are working, and I need everything to move out of the way. Get out of the way. It's education time. Okay, so, picture this. How do I want to start this? It is the... How big is this pen? That's kind of big. That's okay. I like this size. It's good. we are... Oh yeah, I forgot it won't write. That's bad. How about here? Good. Okay. Here's the context. Here's the crux of the situation. In the United States, in 1982, which was a long time from my time, but not from your time. From your time, this was quite recent, I'm sure. From my time, this was centuries ago. Anyway, there's a test called the SATs, which is used by higher level education institutions, or was used. It's not as commonly used now in your time, in your present day. But it was used for testing aptitude and eligibility for scholarships, placements into certain programs, etc., etc. And in 1982, this question, question 17, was part of the math section of that test. And this question has become infamous. In that this question, and you can look this all up, this is verifiable information. This question, the answer to it on the SAT in 1982 was wrong. And they had to like adjust people's scores and give people back points, and it was this whole big ordeal. But I wanna walk us through this question, and it's gonna get real nerdy, guys. It's gonna get real nerdy. Hi Jerry, welcome in. We're doing math tonight. Everyone's worst nightmare. My favorite pastime. Okay. So here's the situation. Actually, wait a minute. Can I... Hold on. Let me see if I can fix one thing to make this easier to understand. Oh, I'm already... You know what? I can't make this any better. Okay, you're just gonna have to keep up. Nerd. Yes. Well, no, I technically prefer the term geek, as it's more all-encompassing of my interests, being in the you know, educational and entertainment spheres. Anyway, here's the math problem. Okay, you ready? Here's the math problem. In the figure above, the radius, do we know what a radius is? So if you have a circle and it has a center point, the measure from that center point to the edge of the circle is called a radius. This length right here, oh, that was bad. This length right here is R. That's a radius right there, okay? So in the figure above, the radius of circle A, so this distance, that radius is 1/3 the radius of circle B. Okay? So if you had circle B, oops. That's that's like saying this distance, if I cut it up into 3, each one of these would be the same, like these are the same length, basically. So the length of the little one is 1/3 the length of the big one. So we could call the length of the big one R, and then the length of the little one would be 1/3 times whatever that was. You're already lost? Okay. So, in other words, if this, let me pick a different color. If the measure from the center to the edge of the small circle, if that distance was 3, the distance of that same what's the word I want? The distance of that same aspect of the big circle, center to outside, would be 9. That's the relationship, okay? Or if this one was 4, this one would be 12. Like, it has a specific relationship, okay? And that relationship is defined as a 1/3. So we can visually see that circle A is smaller. What is making it smaller is that its radius measure is 1/3 the distance of the big circle's radius measure. Okay? Okay, but these numbers are not real. Like these, we don't know exactly what that length is. It could be any length. We typically speak in ratios when we don't want to specify a length. We just want to say like, oh, if this length is X, this length would be 3X. Like it would be 3 times as big is basically what we're saying, okay? Without nailing down exactly how long each thing is. So they set up this situation. And then they tell you, starting from the position shown, so if everything was set up the way it looks in the problem, I wish this was capturing my cursor so you could see what I was gesticulating to, but it's not doing it. My apologies for that. It would make this make more sense. But starting with the established visual, if the little circle was sitting, touching the side of the big circle, okay, we're going to assume that it is going to roll along the surface of the big circle until it gets all the way back to where it started, okay? And the question is, at the end of how many revolutions of circle A will the center of circle A... Hold on. At the end of how many revolutions of circle A will the center of circle first reach its starting point? So here's the center of A, and it's going to be at different places along this, trajectory. And we want to know how many revolutions of the little circle it will take for it to get back to where it started. Okay, so essentially, if I'm going to draw it on this one, what is a revolution? That's part of the problem. That word means different things. But the way we're defining it here, the intention of the SAT was saying, like, if you have the little circle and, like, let's say there was a picture on it, let's say that A was actually on it. As we're going around, that A is also, like, moving and will be in different positions. Oops. Like, that's a rotation. You see what I'm saying? So, like, the circle itself is rolling while it's going around the other circle. Okay. So how many times will the little circle roll around completely until it gets back to where it started? Is what this is meaning, what this means. Okay. So let me show you how the writers in 1982 thought people were going to do this problem. If I haven't already lost you. So here's some information you need to know. If the distance around the circle, this distance, hold on, let me draw this better. This distance around is called a circumference. Okay, distance around a circle is called a circumference. The little circle, circle A, has its own circumference. It's smaller than the circumference of circle B. Okay? So if you want to calculate a circumference, you need to know the radius measure. Those are linked. Those are entwined. That's why we have a concept of pi. Pi is the ratio between circumference and diameter, technically, but it also has a relationship to radius. Besides the point, if you want to calculate a circumference of a circle, the circumference is always going to equal... I could do a better equal sign. Hold on. 2 times... But I'm not going to write those multiplications because we don't need them. 2 times pi, which is that special circle ratio, times whatever that radius measure is. This is the equation to calculate a circumference. So if I know what the radius is, I can figure out how far around the circle is in total. So if the radius is like 2 inches, then the circumference would be 4 pi inches. Okay, you see what we're doing here? But we're not working in specifics. That's what makes SAT questions really difficult. A lot of the times you're not given specific information, but then you're asked to get a specific answer. So, here's how the SAT writers thought people would do this problem. Okay? They thought that they would say, okay, so let's go with this idea here, where we establish the relationship between the radius measures of both circles, but let's do that in reverse. This is gonna mess things up. I know it is. Hold on. Does this mess everything up if I do this? Kind of. So they said they wanted you to do it this way. They wanted you to be like, I'll just draw this again. It's okay. I'm drawing all over everything. So if you had the big circle B with its center, and then you had the little circle A with its center, okay? They wanted you to do something like, we're gonna have this distance, and we're gonna have this distance. And the problem gave us a relationship, okay? It said that whatever this distance is, so that's some radius distance. Back to lurk I go. Okay. Thanks for lurking. Whatever this radius distance is of the bigger circle, the smaller radius will be 1/3 whatever that measure is. Okay? So the SAT writers wanted you to kind of put that into our circumference equation. My head hurts. Okay, well then this is ASMR. Just maybe it'll help you fall asleep, given that it is probably late where you are. But you're supposed to plug this radius information into this circumference equation. So we would say that the circumference of the smaller circle is 2 pi 1/3 r. Okay, to be crude, that's not the best way to write that. And then the circumference of the bigger circle would be 2 pi r. Okay? And if the little circle is rolling around the big circle and like rotating as it goes, the way you would figure out how many times the little circle's gonna turn around, how many times the little circle's gonna like spin around, is we gotta figure out how many times this circumference can fit into this one. And you do that with division. So you would take the big radius, 2 pi r, and you would divide it by the big circumference, excuse me. You take the big circumference and you divide it by the little circumference. 2 pi 1/3 r. Okay? And then this is where the math kind of gets technical, so just, you know, it's verifiable to the people who know how this works. I'm going to try to walk you through it, but when you do division, you can cross out anything that's the same on the top and the bottom. So like those 2's are the same, they go away. Those pi's are the same, they go away, because it's the same number. They'll divide out. This radius measure is the same, it goes away. We have nothing on the top, so we need a placeholder. And you're left with a situation where you need to do 1 divided by 1/3, because there's a 1 on the top and there's a 1/3 on the bottom. The way we typically teach students how to do this math is to do something that we call copy dot flip, where you keep the same number, you change the problem to multiplication, and then you flip the second fraction, because dividing by fractions is actually a really weird concept that we typically don't address that way. So we change it to a multiplication problem. And when you're multiplying by a fraction, I need a different color. As long as both numbers can be written as a fraction, which they can, then you just multiply across the tops and multiply across the bottoms, and that gives us an answer of 3 over 1, or just 3. Okay? So what we have determined is that the little circle's distance around, the distance around this little circle, let me, if I unrolled the circles, and let's say this is the big circle, like, unrolled, and this is the small circle unrolled, the small circle fits into the big circle length 3 times. 1, 2, 3. That's what this 3 means. Okay? So basically, as this little circle is like moving around the big circle and also spinning itself, we expect that the little circle is gonna spin around 3 times, because that's the ratio of their circumferences, before it gets back to the starting point. It's gonna go 1, 2, 3. 3 times. That's how the SAT writers in 1982 wanted you to do this math. They wanted you to get the answer of 3. That answer is wrong. Okay? And it's wrong because of something. My ass was doing that visual without any of the math. Exactly. So there's some intuitiveness to this math. You can kind of look at the original problem and kind of think about how it would work. I'm still learning division. I believe in you. You're doing great. You can kind of intuitively rotate the pieces in your head and think about like how far it would go and stuff like that. But that's the problem with this setup, is that it's actually not that simple, and we're actually establishing something a bit of a paradox. Okay? So here's how the paradox works. Moving over. Let's say we had 2 quarters. Okay? So they'd be exactly the same shape. Right? And if you rolled them out, here would be the circumference of 1 quarter. Here would be the circumference of another quarter. It would be a 1-to-1. Right? So if this quarter is spinning around the other quarter and maybe let's draw this. Is spinning around the other quarter and rotating itself as it does that, we're kind of expecting that the quarter will rotate 1 time to get back to where it started, because these quarters are exactly the same size. However, that is not what happens. Okay? So be ready to have your mind blown. Here's the paradox. This is why this whole setup doesn't work and is not as intuitive as you want it to be. Watch this. Okay, so we have a quarter. It's the exact setup. I'm waiting for it to go around again. Heads facing up. And then heads facing up again. Notice that the heads is facing up twice before it gets back to the beginning. Okay, so I'm going to draw this for you. So in this 2-quarter situation, if we had the middle quarter, like right here, here's the middle quarter. It's like the bird, right? Caw-caw! The bird. Okay. And then here's the original quarter rotating around. The bust of the guy. his head is facing up right here, okay? Head facing up. And then he spins around. He spins around this other quarter. His head is facing up again right here. It's also facing up. Okay, so he actually has to spin 1, 2 times. He rotates twice before his center gets back to the beginning. So if the center of the quarter is right here, he's rotating twice to get back to the beginning because his head is in an upright position twice as he makes his way around the circle. If I could use my hand cam, I could slow this down for you, but I can't. I can only use my writing device or my hand cam. Oh, and I'm hiding stuff you need to see. Hold on. So, yeah, that's why this is a paradox, because in our brains, we feel like the quarter that's rotating, its head should not be upright again until it gets back to where it started. That's what we think should happen in our brains. But if you watch, that's not what happens. The head is upright again at the bottom of its rotation. So this quarter, the one that's moving, actually spins twice before it gets back to the beginning. Math, oh no, my brain. Yeah, this is very technical. I'm so sorry, but I'm subjecting you to this because I can't get this out of my head. So I need to explain this and then we can move on with our lives. So this is called the coin rotation paradox, where in our brains, because these quarters are the same size, we feel like that second quarter should only have to spin around once before it gets back to the beginning. In reality, it spins around twice. And it took my brain all afternoon working, like thinking about this until I could figure out why this is. Even with Veritasium, like talking me through it, it did not make sense. Shot in the dark here, but I'm guessing as the circles get bigger, the smaller circle needs slightly more revolutions to go around the bigger one, and without the specifics, that makes the original test question invalid. I don't know exactly. Let me hold on. Let me think about what you're saying. As the circles get bigger. No, there's no, what I'm about to show you works with any two-sized circles. Same size means nothing. It's the size of the outer line circumference. So the trick to why this is happening is because there's actually 3 circumferences at play here, not just 2. Everyone focuses on the wrong things here. So in this problem, like the original problem, and even the quarter problem, we focus on the fact that there's 2 different size circles in the original problem. So there's this little guy and then this big guy. And in the quarter problem, they're the same size, but that almost doesn't matter, okay? So what's happening here is there's actually 3 circumferences that we have to keep track of in both situations. And I'm going to draw this out for you. Look, I'm not good at math. I get it, but can't explain it. Yeah. So I'm going to walk you through why this is happening. Why we can't just divide circumference B by circumference A and get that ratio and have it be the right answer. That is not the right answer. The right answer is actually not listed in any of these choices for the original problem, by the way. So here, I'm gonna walk you through this. So, and then you guys can tell me if this is what you were thinking and if it's like tracking with what's happening. Okay? Because here's the crazy part, okay? If you did actually unravel the circles like I'm showing right here, oh, hello? If you did actually unravel the circles like I'm showing right here, the answer would be 3. But because it's circular motion, it changes the whole problem. Okay? So I think I used up my whole whiteboard and I need more whiteboard. No, I have some space. Okay. So watch this. I'm going to set up the original problem again, and then I'm going to talk about why what we think is happening is not what's happening. So here's the original problem again. Here is circle B and circle A, okay? Circle B, it's bigger. And then we have circle, this is not drawn to scale, by the way. Circle A, circle B. Okay, here's where our brains start to lie to us. The only two orbs I need. Yeah, okay, yeah, sure, focus on that. Think positive, happy thoughts. Here's why our brains are lying to us, okay? It's because if we were tracking a point on circle A, so like if we wanted to get right back here and track that point, that would be traveling... I need a different color. This is not showing up well. Let's use orange again. These conflict nicely. Okay, so if we were tracking a point that was on circle A and we wanted to get right back here, that would be traveling the exact distance around circle B, and that answer would be 3. It would take 3 rotations of circle A for that point on circle A to get back to the beginning. But we are not tracking that point. We are tracking this point. And we want that point to get back to the beginning. Notice that for that point, the center of circle A, not a point on circle A, the center of circle A, for that point to get back to the beginning, we've created a third circle, this green circle. That is the track that the center point follows. And it is bigger than the track that a point on the circle would follow. A point on the circle would follow the exact distance around of the circumference of circle B. Center point does not. Center point... Is this part of the re-debut week, or is this just a tangent? Either way, this is an incredible tangent, or this is me letting you know that you might see more of these now. Because I told you guys, as part of my debut, I told you guys, I'm gonna do what I want now. So, surprise, you might get more math streams. Because this is what I'm good at, and I have a right to flaunt my abilities, since every other streamer gets to do that. And I'm over here just being like, ah! Little dumb guy trying to play video games when I'm not even good at that. So you're gonna listen to some math. Is it a cosine or a sine? Not relevant. That's more relevant if we're doing trig. We are exclusively doing geometry. I see some people bring this into the calculus realm. I don't know why they're doing that. You don't need to go as far as calculus to talk about what's happening here. But here's what makes the difference, okay? It's entirely the fact that if you unroll circle B, like say this is circle B, the actual distance traveled by the center point of circle A is longer than that, okay? That's the whole crux of the problem. That's why the answer can't be 3, because we're actually traveling further. But we now want to know what this distance of further is, so we can figure out how much further. 4? Yes! It's 4! So the actual answer to how many times this little circle is gonna spin around before it gets back to the beginning, the answer is actually secret answer letter F, which is 4. That's the actual answer to this problem. Wait, what? Yeah, you're right. The actual answer is 4. And that made me very uncomfortable. But it's the same thing with the quarters, okay? It has to do with how many times the circle is going to be upright again. And for this little circle, like if the A is where I'm placing it, that A is going to be upright 4 times before we get back to the beginning. Okay? Never doubt the luck of an idiot. The problem with your luck, Danny, is if you were taking the SAT in 1982, 4 was not an answer. So even though you're good at guessing, it was not here for you, bud. But that was a good guess. Actually, and if I'm drawing my diagrams correctly, which I'm trying really hard to do, you can kind of see it. You can kind of see that it would be a ratio of 4. So I'm trying really hard to draw things to scale so that you can see that. Also, my captions died again. I'm sorry, my bad. I know this is already confusing and now you can't even read it. Maybe they'll come back. But yeah, so circle A is going to spin around. Oops. Going to spin around itself. 1, 2, 3, 4 times before it gets back to the beginning. The answer is actually 4. Hi, Digi! Welcome in! We're talking about math. I'm explaining the coin rotation paradox. Okay, so now let me... How do I want to do this? I highly recommend you actually go watch the Veritasium video because they do explain some... Oh, buddy. They do explain some stuff that I'm just not going to get into. But I want to explain to you the geometry reason that I finally landed on, which is why I'm satisfied with how this all works now. Because they were explaining calculus stuff and doing like other stuff that just is not necessary to the foundational understanding of why this problem works the way it works. Okay? So I want to get back to this idea. We want to know, in order to figure out why the answer is 4, because that doesn't feel right. Like, if you do the math the way you feel like you're supposed to, the answer is 3. So why is it 4? Where do we get this magic 4 number that Danny pulled out of thin air? Okay? It all has to do with this extra distance, that extra little bit of travel that Circle A actually does, because it's creating an actual circle with a bigger diameter. Okay? Because 4 is the best number. Unless you're in Japan, then 4 is a terrible number and we don't like talking about it. But otherwise, yeah, I like the number 4. It's a good number. Okay, so, remember, this green line that I've drawn, this green line right here, okay, that's the distance around this green circle. So that's the circumference of the green circle. This purple line is the circumference of circle B, okay? So actually, let's call this green circle, for clarity, let's call it circle C. So this is the maybe we shouldn't use C because that's circumference. This is gonna make you guys mad, but let's call this circle, what letter do I want to use? Let's call it circle G. Okay, so this is circle G's circumference, and this is circle B's circumference, okay? And circle G's circumference is bigger, but we don't know by how much. I always eat 4 snacks, 4 pieces of candy, 4 spoons of rice. Only 4 spoons? Golly, I think you'd eat more rice. Okay, so here's how we do this. Here is my formal, proof, okay? So... I'm gonna show this to you 2 ways, because I did this 2 ways for myself, because I wasn't totally happy with the first way I did this. It wasn't building the case enough for me. So here's 2 different ways. I'm gonna show you how this actually works, how you'd actually do the math. And the first way is actually, we can do it the same way we did it at the beginning, and look at the ratio of 2 circumferences. Okay? So, back over here, I wish I could draw this 2 places. Actually, I'll do this again. We're just gonna redraw the same diagram a lot of times. But that's good math. I'm gonna post this on the socials when I'm done with this too. Oh, no, I don't need a custom color. Okay, so here it is one more time. Here is circle B. B. Circle A. And then we have our bonus... circle G. Okay. Circle G. Okay, so When we did this problem originally, we had to measure the radii, radius plural. We had to measure the radii of each circle. Other people, you don't look autistic. Me, eating things by fours. And then you have me doing math for fun on the weekend. It's fine. Okay, so here's those measures again. So, here we go. If you do this all over again, you have circle A. You have... I'm running out of colors. What color did I do before? Green? Okay. Well, that's going to be confusing here. Actually, let's just work off of the diagram we already did, okay? Because it's all right here. Let's be frugal in our space, in our paper space, okay? We already know the lengths, the assignments for the lengths of the original two circles, but now we need to assign a length for the radius of this third green circle, okay? So what we can do is, if you look, this third green circle's radius is just made up of the radius of the blue circle and the radius of circle A and circle B combined. So if you add these two together, you get the radius of circle G. Okay? Actually, I like that I named it circle G because it's like the green circle. Okay? So, we could write this the really clunky way, but I'm going to write this a nicer way. So, the radius for circle G is 1/3 R plus R, okay? That's gonna be ugly trying to plug it into like one of these formulas. That's supposed to be an arrow. That's gonna be ugly trying to plug it into one of those formulas, so we're gonna simplify it, okay? So instead of 1/3 R plus R, we're gonna do 1/3 R plus 3/3 R. We had one of them before. If we just change the secret one of them that we had before into a 3/3, that's the same as saying 1. It's what I call a form of 1. 3/3 is just 1 in disguise. Okay, so we haven't changed anything. We've just made these fractions be the same so we can add them. So then you would get 4. I want to do this in blue. 4/3 R. That's bad. I can draw that better. 4/3 R. Okay, is everyone okay with that? You have 1/3. You have 1/3. You add 3/3 to it. You get 4/3. We cool with that? So if you wanted to write 4/3 R is this distance. That's 4/3 R. Let me do it this way, actually. This distance is 4/3 R. I keep overlapping with stuff. It's hard to see. 4/3 R. How about that? There we go. That distance, that radius of those two combined to give us the green circle's radius is 4/3 R. So then we can make an equation. How I'd solve this, I would draw the rotating circle until it reaches. Yeah, you can totally do that. That's a good testing strategy if you don't know the formal math to use. Trial and error is a great testing strategy. I wish more people would use that, actually. You can figure out a lot by trial and error. And in this particular problem, I don't think it would take you that long to figure it out. If you sat there during the SAT and took some of your scrap paper and like cut out 2 circles and then rotated them, they'd have to be to scale though, so that might be tricky. But that's not a bad strategy. Okay, so I want to create the circumference formula for circle G. So I'm going to do it in green. Well, I already used green. I'm going to do it in blue. We're going to keep this one in blue. So circle G's circumference. G's circumference. G's Louise's circumference. Equals 2 pi. Man, it's hard to write. 4/3 r. Okay, so that's not too bad. So we have circle A, and his circumference is 2 pi 1/3 r. We have circle B. Let me label these. Circle A, circle B, and then we have circle G. Okay. Circle A's circumference is 2 pi 1/3 r. Circle B's circumference is 2 pi r. And circle G's circumference is 2 pi 4/3 r. Okay. So now we're going to redo a calculation. We're going to redo this division. This right here. We're going to redo this division. Since we are not actually traveling the circle B circumference, we're actually traveling the circle G circumference. Circle G is now going to be the numerator in this division. So it'll look like this. Okay, ready? The actual ratio we want is going to be the circle G circumference. So 2 pi 4/3 r divided by the small circle that's doing the traveling. Okay, because we're actually traveling around a bigger circle, right? So that's going to be divided by 2 pi 1/3 r. Okay, and we're going to do all the same math. So you can cross out anything that's the same. So those 2's cancel, the pi's cancel, the r's cancel, just like before. And then we're going to do the same fraction math so we can get the same type of an answer that's more intuitive than 4/3 divided by 1/3. Oops, let me draw this fraction the same kind of way. Divided by 1/3. We don't like doing this division of fractions. It's not an actual like sensical format, so we change it to multiplication. So we're going to take this problem, change it to multiplication, and we're going to do our copy dot flip. So division becomes multiplication. We keep the 4/3 the same. We flip the 1/3, so it's 3/1. And now we multiply them, and you just multiply across the tops. You will get 12/3. Oh my golly. I can write this, hold on. You'll get 12/3, which divides down to 12 divided by 3. Danny, you know this. You said you were working on your division. 12 divided by 3. I believe in you. I feel like Dora. I feel like Dora. I'm like teaching you guys stuff. 12 divided by 3 is 4. Da-da-da-da-da-da, your favorite number. So before, when we just divided circle B's circumference by circle A's circumference, we got a 3. Okay? Now that we're dividing circle G's circumference by circle A's circumference, we get that beautiful, mysterious 4. Ta-da! So because of this whole thing of we're not tracking a point on circle A, hold on, my hand doesn't want to. We're not tracking a point on circle A, we're tracking the center of circle A. Because of that difference, we create this third circle, this third circumference, and that's the circumference you need to use to do this math correctly. That's why it makes a 4, based on the ratios involved. But that was deeply unsatisfying to me, okay? You can do all this math, you can see that the ratios cancel perfectly, the answer is actually 4. That's all fine and dandy. I did not like that. So I did this one more way, okay? So here's the final way I did this, and here's the most complicated that this math is going to get. You can look at the other videos and you can watch them do calculus. I'm not going to do calculus. I'm literally just going to do some extra geometry so that this is more satisfying to me, okay? So, to do this extra geometry, basically what they were saying is this relationship is the same every time. So like the amount of travel is always, according to them, going to be, does this pink show up good? Kind kind of. So they said the answer is always going to be n plus 1. Hi, Driveling, what's up? What's your level of math? Calc 2. I've also done discrete mathematics and, what's it called? Linear algebra? I did not like linear algebra, or whatever that's called. It breaks all Euclidean rules, and then you're doing math outside of established limit, contexts and, boundaries. I did not like it. But I love math. Welcome in. We're talking about the coin rotation paradox. And, what Veritasium et al. Has demonstrated is you can kind of use this shortcut for, any pairing of circles. So this will be the answer to how many times that smaller circle or like rotating circle is going to spin around before it gets back to the beginning. And this N letter is what you think it should be if you take the original circumferences of the two circles and then you add 1 to it and you get the actual answer. When I saw the screen at first, I thought you were doing complex analysis and I got excited. This is cool too, though. Yeah, no, this is geometry. This is geometry, but it's doesn't feel intuitive until you break it apart, which is why I'm talking about it, because I had a hard time thinking about this. But even this little cheat works for our quarter situation too, because we thought it was going to be 1. We thought it was going to be 1. So in this case, n would be 1, and then we add 1 to it, and we get the actual answer, which was 2. That quarter actually spins twice. So this is not limited by the sizes of the two circles you use. For any two circles where one is rotating while like moving around the other one, like it's spinning itself and it's moving around the other circle, you can always use this n plus 1, with n being the ratio of the circumferences of the original two circles. And then you add 1 to it, and now it'll give you how many times it rotates. But I didn't like that, because usually, like, the only reason we use cheats in math is because we've proven that they are infallible, like they work every time. But this wasn't proven to me. I'm like, well, why does that work for every single circle? Like, we've demonstrated it works for 2 situations, but a lot of math is demonstrating without a doubt that it's going to work every single time. Okay, so that's why I did one more calculation to fully satisfy myself on the fact that it will it'll always be this little cheat right here. It'll always be this n ratio of the original two circumferences plus 1. It'll always be that. So I'm going to show you this last layer that left me deeply satisfied with this problem. But if you close the stream, if this is too much for you, you've seen everything. You've seen the reason why the answer is 4 instead of 3. We have proved that. But now we're going to make it work for all circles, okay? And we're going to do it by doing the math that proves the 3 versus 4 conundrum again. And I don't know if this is enough space. Oh, I've seen this problem before. Yeah, Veritasium does this problem. They do not go into the geometry I'm about to do, though. They, like, dance around it. I don't know why they don't just do this geometry. They're not wrong, but they take it from a different approach. And I'm like, why? Why do it? That's probably where I saw it. Yeah, there's a lot of other people who do this problem as well. There's this other guy. There's a bunch of different math expert content creators out there that have talked about this problem. But I haven't seen one that's talked about it in the way I'm about to show you, which is the final version of this problem for me. And it involves arc lengths, okay? So to finally satisfy myself with the answer to this problem, I did this with arc lengths, okay? Arc. That's not an L. Lengths. Okay, so this was the missing piece for me to be satisfied with this problem. I needed to see the arc lengths, and I'm gonna have to extend my canvas one more time. I need space. Okay, and then put this back where it was. Okay, so, grand finale, arc lengths. Okay, so I'm gonna draw out the original problem one more time so that we can kind of see what's happening. So, we have, once again, I'm gonna give this more space actually. We have, oh golly, oh Nelly. We have circle B. Rotating and spinning around it, we have, that's bad, circle A. Okay. And then because we are specifically tracking the center point of circle A, we create a third circumference that I'm going to try to draw nicely. Good enough. That I'm calling circle G. Okay, circle green. And then here's the final piece of this puzzle that made me go, okay, I feel good about this. We already have established that radius of circle A, which I could do again in orange. Radius A is 1/3 R. Radius B is just R. And then we determined that radius G, which I'm going to now actually do in green so it's not confusing. Radius G I could have color coded this all better, by the way. If I made, let me make circle A orange. This is my diagram and I can color it however I want, okay? And then circle G's radius. Radius G we determined to be 4/3 R. And just from these ratios alone, because we could sneak a little cheeky 3/3 R. Like, we can already see from their numerator, since all the denominators are the same. 1, 3, 4. Okay? So that already gives us all the information we need, but I want to be able to, like, establish that this travel distance right here is, in fact, a whole extra circle A. Like, I don't feel confident about that. I want to see this broken down a little bit more. So, the way I finally ended up thinking about this is, if we mark out the three rotations, like roughly, like say this is 1, and then let's try to get this into thirds. 2, 3. Okay, so that's not perfect, but it's kind of okay. It's kind of okay. So if we were tracking a point on the circle, those would be the thirds where it would travel, right? So the small coin rotates 3 times because that's the number of rotations it needs to complete the length of the inner circle, and it rotates an additional 1 time because of the curvature of the path it's following. Yes! So, and then I'm displaying the math for that is my goal now. So what's happening, and I gotta move this letter G to show this. Because you can see what's happening, but like I wanted the numbers for it. I'm like I don't like something until I've seen the numbers for it. Okay? Why is drawing a G so hard? Ugh. Okay. So what I wanted to do is really display, and I've picked the worst section of the circle to do this, but I really wanted to display with arc lengths that the distance, the unaccounted for distance, is actually a whole nother rotation of the smaller circle or smaller coin. And either way you want to think of this. So what you do is you take that 1/3 distance that you expect it to be, roughly. Okay. And then you have like its theta, you know, its angle length. And then what happens is that creates 2 arcs, okay? You have the purple arc, which is a piece of the purple circle. And you have the green arc, which is a piece of the green circle. And we know that the purple arc is exactly 1/3 of the purple circle, but we don't know how big this green arc is. So I did some number crunching so I could get the math for all these pieces and then compare it to definitively show that we are getting an extra orange circle out of this situation. So once again, I'd like to remind you of the circumferences of these guys. So circumference of circle A is 2 pi 1/3 r. Circumference of circle B, 2 pi r. And then circumference of circle C, circle G, excuse me, 2 pi 4/3 r. Okay. And now I'm focusing on these lengths. I want to know how long this is, right? How long is that? And how long is this? So that I can compare just these pieces of travel. Because if I can compare pieces of travel, that will give me information about the whole journey, right? So, the way you do an arc length calculation is you take the circumference and you multiply it by if we're gonna work with degrees, but you could do this with radians, you multiply it by your degree, that inner degree, over 360, because circles are 360 in total. So you're doing a calculation that's kind of like 2 pi r times the portion of the circle you want the arc of, right? That's how you get an arc length. I might need more space again. Let's prepare ahead of time. We're going to drag this canvas one more time. Huh! Huh! Okay. And I have to keep moving this back because it's a 3D shape. Okay, so, here is what we did. So, because we know that, this arc that we're taking of the purple circle, so it's percentiles? I don't know what you mean by that. I'm gonna say no. If you know what you mean by that, maybe the answer is yes. So since we structured this, angle to be specifically 1/3 of the purple circle, like we did that meaningfully because we knew that original ratio between the orange circle and the purple circle circumferences was like 3. So I divided the purple circle into thirds, and then this angle is 1/3 of the purple circle, okay? Unrelated fun fact that I learned today, n choose 2 over n is asymptotically equivalent to n to 2 to the n minus 1 divided by the square root of 2 pi x. Math makes more sense to me when it's not horizontal, but that's cool. We love math in this space. Okay, ready? I don't want to derail too much because we have to complete the problem. The way you get percentiles is divide by 100, then multiply the percent you want. Yeah, it's kind of like that, I guess. I just feel like that's not the best terminology for here because the 100 is not 100%, it's 360. So I see what you're saying, but I feel like that language could become confusing. So, because we've purposefully divided the purple circle into thirds, this angle for the purple circle, and we're going to do this based off of the purple circle's perspective, okay? That angle is not unknown. That angle is a third of the purple circle, or 120. So it's a third of the 360. So if this is 120, then this is kind of meaningless, and we can just do 1/3. You know? So, what that means is that to get the arc length of the purple circle, we would do 2 pi r times 1/3. Okay, which would give us 2 pi 1/3 r, which is not amazing, because we already know, because of the way we structured this, that does equal 1 circumference of the orange circle. Like, we already did this, so that's not informative. What's informative is when we try to do this with the green circle. Okay, so we take the green circle circumference, 2 pi 4/3 r, and we multiply. I'm going to change the color of this. 1/3 by 1/3, which is this. It's that fade out of 360. Okay, because that angle hasn't changed, right? It's still 120. We multiply these two guys together, and we get, for simplicity's sake, I'm going to show you where this information lands up, though it is terribly dissatisfying to see that way. We're going to get 2 pi 4/9 r. So basically what I did is, to squeak in this 1/3, I just did 4/3 times 1/3. And remember, when you're multiplying fractions, you just multiply across the tops, which gives us 4/9. Okay, so that's why there's a 4/9 here. That's where the 4/9 comes from. Okay. Hold on, I'm gonna take a sip. I gotta breathe. Take a sip. Okay. So, we get this weird, like, 4/9, and then, what I did, because I was like, oh, that's not a nice number, I don't like looking at it that way, is I put it back into, here, I'll show you. It's not fun to look at. Is I put this arc measure of the green circle, I put this back into context of its original circumference. Okay, so how did I do this? Let's see. So I needed another color. What color should I use? What's a color I haven't used yet? I guess I could, well, I don't want to use red. How's gray country? Nope, I don't like that. I need a color. I could use pink. Pink contrasts well enough. Okay, so let's use pink again. So, what I did is I took our nice little 2 pi 4/9 r, and I split this back up so that it would be the way I wanted it to be. So I did this 4/9 you can rewrite as 4 4/3 plus, wait, how do I want to do this? 4/3, no. Here we go. No, here it is. It's the same as 1/3 plus 1/9. Okay, so 4/9 is the same as 1/3 plus 1/9. Okay, are we okay with that? 4/3 is the same as 1/3 plus 1/9. Okay, because you can write this as 1/3 is the same as 3/9 plus 1/9 equals 4/9. Okay, but I'm gonna write it this way. Okay, the 1/3 plus 4/9. So then you take your circumference, this black one, and then you're gonna rewrite it so it's 2 pi parentheses 1/3 r plus 1/9 r. Okay. I hate that I'm doing like the most important part of this in a light color, but I've forced myself into this hole. Actually, I could be using blue. Why am I not using blue? Okay, hold on. We're gonna switch to blue. It's easier to see. 2 pi 4/9 r. We turn the 4/9 into 1/3 plus 1/9. And then we changed it to look like 2 pi parentheses 1/3 r plus 1/9 r. Okay? And then based on the distributive property, you can go whoo, whoo, right? Oh, that was bad. Whoo, whoo. Okay, right? You can do distributive property, which is what I'm going to do. And that gives us 2 pi, oops. 2 pi, oh golly. I'm trying to write so small. I might have to get more space again. 2 pi 1/3 r plus 2 pi 1/9 r. Okay. And then, so that's the amount that is traveled by the green circle for each third of the purple circle, okay? And each third of the green circle. So if we go back to this original diagram and we do the split all the way around, so it's a 3 split. You can see now that I like did this horribly, but you have 3 sections. So we're gonna do this 3 times, okay? We have 1, 2, 3, and I did not portion those. Actually, I could do this better so it doesn't look so bad. Okay, so like that. So you have 1, 2, 3 times we're gonna use this arc length, okay? And what you can see here is that this piece of it, this first piece of it, is the circumference of the small circle, circle A, okay? So the travel of the green circle, which is what this all is, this is how far we're traveling on the green circle every time. The first piece of it is just the orange circle. And we're gonna do this travel 3 times, okay? So we're gonna do it another time. 2 pi 1/3 r. 2 pi 1/3 r. Oops. 1/3 r. I'm gonna need more space. Holy cow. So this first part, after we do the 3 travels around the green circle, is going to be 3 of those 2 pi 1/3 r's. Okay, so that's 3 rotations of that little A circle. Okay, which is the number we thought it was going to be originally. It's this part right here that's going to give us the magic number we need for why we get an extra rotation of the little circle. So watch this. I need more space. But yeah, this part is super important now. I need more space. I wish I could move up into this white space, but it's gonna mess it up if this information is not all together, so. We increase it once more! Is that enough? Maybe that's enough. I'll just have a free space up at the top. Okay. So watch this. Here we go. Blowing your mind. Okay, so we know that we're also gonna repeat this one. 2 pi 1/9 r. 2 pi 1/9 r. This is the laziest writing you've ever seen. When we add that up, what does that equal? Okay. Here is what it equals. We have 3 times 2 pi 1/9 r. Okay. Because of this multiplication that's happening right here. Oops. I'm trying to make that 1 look more prominent. Because of this multiplication that's happening, I can add like a 1 underneath it, and then I can just multiply these fraction pieces together to have this fraction, this 1/9, absorb the 3 I'm trying to multiply into this situation. So I can just do 3 over 1 times 1 over 9, which gives me, because remember, it's fraction multiplication, you just multiply across the tops, across the bottoms. That gives me 3 over 9, which is the same as 1/3. Okay? So what this equals, when I get 3 of these guys, is 2 pi 1/3 r. And look at this! This is the same as the small circle circumference. So here's where we get the 1 extra rotation, which means together that small circle has rotated 4 times. Okay. I know I've lost all of you. But that was my favorite. This is my favorite explanation because, yeah, the ratios was cool. Is this college level math? No, this is geometry. This is this is second year of high school math. Taking another sip. But yeah, so you have 2 different ways to think of this for how to solve your coin rotation paradox. You have method 1, which deals with, oh, that was a horrible one, which deals with the rotation, the ratio of the actual circumferences at play. So you take the ratio of the green circle circumference to the ratio of the A circle circumference, and that gives you this little cheat here, this n+1 situation. Or you can think about it with arc length, and if you do it by arc length, you can see you can see the 3 rotations happen. And then you can visibly see where the math comes from for how you get that extra rotation, for why you get that 4th rotation. High school, I didn't have a math teacher. Oh, damn. That's rough. You did learn Pythagorean theorem, though. That's good. But yeah, these are my 2. This is how I did the math. I went the arc length route so that I could prove in a piecemeal way why that 1/3 relationship resulted in exactly. So what we've basically proven is that this mystery piece of the original arc is exactly an extra orange circle. So if I draw this stuff one more time, green length, purple length. Okay. Circle G. Circle B. We know that if we split circle B up into thirds, each of these is a circle A. So that means that in the G length, we had 3 of those circle A's. And we've just proved definitively from all of this math, that this last mystery piece is also a circle A. That's why the answer is 4. That's what we just did. A squared plus B, A squared. Danny, just for you, Pythagorean theorem is, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. That's Pythagorean theorem. Okay, so this is coin rotation. I can't spell. Rotation paradox. This is the only kind of doxing you're allowed to do on this channel. Paradoxes. Paradoxes! Oop. Straight lines are hard to draw. Solved. Oops. Ta-da! Chur, 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 chur. Chung. Nice. Oh, golly. Okay. What'd you think? How we feeling, guys? Ta-da. Oops. Ta-da. 4. Oh boy, I can't spell. 4 rotations. Okay, here's the worst piece of these. Technically, and because I don't remember who brought this up, maybe James Lowe, but somebody brought up the issue of this word right here. Revolutions. That word is very problematic. And technically, because of that word right there, there's also an answer G where the answer is actually 1. And that's an acceptable answer. But I won't get into that piece of it. That piece is interesting, but I wanted to get into why, based on how the writers of the SAT for that year intended it, the answer is actually 4. But there is grounds for the answer being 3. Because if we're talking about, again, if we're talking about moving around a point that's on circle A, the answer is 3. But if we're talking about moving around the center of circle A, the answer is 4. Because you're creating a bigger circle by rotating about the center. And when you rotate, when you lay the information out, so like watch this. When the circle's just traveling this distance, because our circle center is theoretically like right there. Whoops. That's why circle A, if it's a flat line, can travel with 1, 2, 3 rotations, because the center is not traveling extra distance when the line is flat. So there's some bonus information for you. When the line is flat, the answer is 3. But if it's traveling around another circle, because of the extra arc, because this extra circle has this extra arc length right here, it changes the whole problem. And if you go through the arc length, I mean, because it has this extra radius length, I'm using the wrong language, my bad. Because of this extra radius length of circle G, it changes the whole problem. But I really liked analyzing this via the arc lengths, doing the arc length math, so you can see very clearly where you get the 3 rotations. So basically, every time you rotate, every time you travel on the green arc, some piece of the green arc is a regular, like, rotation, and then some piece is like an extra little bit. And when you add up the extra little bits, you get 1 full extra rotation, basically. No surprise my country has one of the worst education levels in the world. I mean, you're acting like they teach this in geometry in the US. They do not. It's just this problem can be done with only the knowledge of the geometry that is taught in the US. But I think I could hand this problem to a geometry kid in the US right now and they wouldn't be able to do it. Like, hopefully they would get an answer of 3. That's the math I hope they would know how to do. I don't think they would get the answer of 4. I would be very impressed if just your average geometry student in the US got an answer of 4. Because I had to think really hard about this. I had a hard time. Until I did the arc length situation, and then I could actually see the problem come together. That was very satisfying. So yeah, you can do a lot of different math problems multiple ways and arrive at the same conclusion. Some of those ways might be more informative than other ways. But yeah. There you go. That's the coin rotation paradox. Solved. And now you can look it up later. If you look up coin rotation paradox, you'll find a lot of videos of this nature. You can find the ones that talk about calculus, all that stuff. Oh, actually, I wanted to add a piece of information right here. One more piece of information. In a minute, in 30 seconds rather, there's going to be an ad that I'm not going to skip. And then, I'm gonna find us somewhere I'm gonna find somewhere to raid. Somewhere that might be lighter on brain power necessity for you guys. We'll go somewhere that's pure vibes and fun. Okay. Boop. That's why this works. Ta-da! So yeah, this is lovely. Ugh! This math made me so happy. But yeah. Find me, here's an idea. Here's your homework assignment. Find me math problems. Like if you find, I don't know why you guys would be watching math videos in your spare time, but if you do, if you are, let me see them. Coin rotation paradox solved. So dramatic. Ta-da! Yeah, I love this math. Ugh. So satisfying. But yeah, I scratched my brain at that because I originally did the silly geometry student math and I got the answer of 3, which was wrong. And then I was like, how is it 4? What do you mean? And I had to really think about it. It really, really rocked my brain. And it wasn't until I did the arc lengths and I literally like looked at, because I knew we had an extra distance we were traveling, but it wasn't intuitive just looking at a circle, like how that made a whole extra rotation. And then if you do out the math, you're like, oh, I see where we're getting a whole extra rotation. I see. So yeah, this is very exciting. I'm going to post this on the socials. Do you think anyone's going to know what the heck this means? I don't know. I think people will be confused. But it'll be fine. It'll be fine. Okay, so I'm going to put this to rest and we're going to find somewhere friendly for you to spend the duration of your time. But thank you so much. Oh my goodness. That was my brain was just like on that math problem. I think I talked about it as much as I wanted to. I don't think I missed anything out of the explanation I wanted to give. Hi, Cooney. Welcome in. Welcome in, Cooney. Do not fear, Cooney. Though we have reached the end of my stream, it was all about math. I talked everyone's ear off about math stuff for an hour and a half. Is this my favorite lemon? I mean, a version of her. Doesn't matter, I got to see you. Yeah, so if anyone is really dying to know what we talked about today, this was basically Lem Torture's chat with math stream. I wish it wasn't like that though. I wish I could just talk about math and not have it be this big scary thing. But yeah, thanks to everybody who hung out. That was cool. Let me find somewhere that's not math to send you guys. Let's see. Well, I'm following a lot of people who are currently playing Overwatch. There's a lot of people doing art. How are you? How are you, Cooney? We got a Resident Evil. Can you teach me elementary school level math? Maybe. I could do that. If you want a straight up like math education stream and not one that's just me ranting about math problems that I like, we could maybe do that. You're doing all right, thank you. Oh, yay. Good. And teach us, we don't mind. Good. Because when I feel like it's only going to be if I find problems that are interesting to me and I feel like I have a spin on them that I haven't really seen, like, tackled. Because literally nobody I've looked into, I looked into it a little bit. I opened some websites, I've looked at other videos besides Veritasium's, and nobody goes the arc length route when they want to explain why the rotations are three instead of 4. I don't know why. I feel like the arc length one is very satisfying numerically to see done out. 3x plus 1? Oh my goodness! I just came across that problem. That is an unproven problem. I can't prove that one. I've been thinking about it though. That one is cool. We could talk about it. I definitely like set it up for you guys, like how that problem works. It was so dumb. So talking about the 3x plus 1, I came across that on TikTok, and the people in the comments section were like, what's the problem? They didn't even give a question. Like, people just it wasn't clicking. Like, the math in its entirety was going over the comment section's heads collectively, and I felt bad. Because I watched that and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. It is not 4x though, Danny. You cannot add 3x and 1 because they are not like terms. The 1 would also need to have an x so that you would be counting up 1, 2, 3, 4 x's, but you have 1, 2, 3 x's and a random 1. Those can't go together because this is apples and this is bananas. You can't group them like that. That's a good guess. And that's not what Cooney's referring to. That's a specific conundrum that has not been proven yet. Why is there letters in math? It's because, like in the instance with the problem I just showed you, it's often easier to create formula if we don't fill in concrete values, because then that only makes that formula work for one situation. But we like formulas that work for all situations, so that we can say the circumference of a circle is 2 pi r. Because otherwise we just say, well, the circumference of this circle is 20. And that's not helpful, like wide scale. So we put letters in there so that we get formulas. And then when you have a formula, you can plug in your numbers and then get out the right answer, which is really useful for us. So that's why you learn algebra, so that you can understand how formulas work and where they come from, how we can build them ourselves, and how we can use them in different situations. So like I just used a bunch of formulas to my own advantage that I was not personally taught to use them that way in high school, but I knew how to use them, so I concocted them myself. It's like how last stream we did a puzzle. This stream was another puzzle, just math puzzle. Y'all over here thinking formulas are a pain? Imagine if we had to remember them all for school. Well, what I like to say is it's not about how much you have up here, like memorized. It's about having, it's not knowledge, it's wisdom, right? So you can have a lot of knowledge, like you could just be a walking encyclopedia, but if you don't know what any of it means, it's useless, okay? So I don't need you to memorize formula. You can look that up. You can type it into Google. What's the Pythagorean theorem? You can look it up. Your job is to have the know-all to like, what the heck do I do with this formula? Because if you don't know what to do with it, that's worthless, okay? But you can look up any formula you need. I had to look up the formula for arc length. I had to remind myself what that was. I was pretty sure I knew what it was, but I didn't want to like get on here and give you guys false information. So I looked that up. Oh, I meant for the specific ones you were theoretically talking about. Remember each circle and each equation and so on. Oh, yeah. Actually, it's funny that you mentioned that because when I was a small lion, I was, part of my education included school outdoors, and we went on this like camping trip-esque thing, and we learned stuff outside, and we were building this like gazebo with these guys, and one of the guys had this little book, and it had like a bunch of like all of the angle conversions listed out, and he just had to like turn to the page of the book and like look for the angle that he was trying to do to connect the boards at, and then it told him like what the number was. That's like what you're saying. Like we don't do that anymore. They don't carry around little books like that. We just have a formula and they plug their numbers into the formula, and then it tells them like where the boards, what to do. But there was a point, and you could buy books like that for different careers, where it just had like the running list of all these different results, and then you just found the one you needed. Yeah. So for small scale stuff, those books are still really useful, but like if you have a calculator and you have a phone, which most people do now, when those two are like the same thing, yeah, formulas are really useful for that. Back in school, we would take DVDs to watch in class instead of studying. Yeah, you told me that. Yeah, not all educations are equal, unfortunately. But fear not, I'm here to teach you math now. Maybe, sometimes. This problem interested me just because it hurt my brain. And sometimes when I don't shy away from getting problems wrong, because like I'm not that good. You know what I mean? I didn't just like look at the coin rotation paradox and go, oh, the answer's 4. I got it wrong. When I did the problem, I was like, oh, it's 3. But that's because I also erroneously expected the answer to be one of the multiple choice, and I got the answer. That's one of the worst things you can do on a multiple choice question, is get a number and then just go, oh, it's one of the multiple choice, so that must be the answer. Wrong. But in this case, on that SAT, question 17 did not have the correct answer as one of the choices. And some kids who took the SAT that year, like, emailed the testing board, and they're like, hey, I think this question was wrong. And then they looked into it, and they were like, oh my goodness, you're right. And then it became like this big news story. And those kids were kind of famous for a little while as being smarter than the SAT. My brain smooth, the thoughts all slide off. That's really funny you mentioned that, because I was talking about that the other day at my at my mission headquarters. I was talking about the ideas just falling off the table. But yeah, so this problem was really interesting because I got it wrong, and then I listened to the explanation, and I was like, ha! And I still didn't get it. So then I did my own math, and I was like, yeah, I like that. That works. That's good stuff. You know what I should do? I should get glasses. I should get glasses so that when we do the our nerd streams, I'm adequately outfitted. I'll get my glasses back on. Technically, where is it? Do I still have? I don't know if I still have. This is the outfit that's going to be on the thumbnail for this stream. This one's old. Hi, guys. This is my teacher look. I do have glasses on this look. But we never really used... I used this model for one stream. Like a long time ago. I used this model for one stream. But yeah. This is my teacher nerd model. That I don't use anymore. Hi, I'm back. Okay, where am I sending you guys? Where are we going so that your brain can take a break? Break! I knew it could delay the ending of stream by encouraging her being so enthralled with math. Listen. It's not like I have to leave really soon. I've just said everything I wanted to say. If you have questions, you can keep asking them. I do not bother. You're not bothering me, and I do not mind that at all. Ooh, Amogus? That's good brain dead vibes. Amogus. I just like spending time with you. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I like spending time with you guys too. In this case, I abused that privilege by special interest dumping on you. But you have the free will to leave. So I hope some of you exercised it at will and went somewhere that was more your speed if math wasn't for tonight. You like how you learn English with video games? I love that for you too, actually. Let's see. Hold up. Can I raid this person? I want to see if I can raid this person. Because they just started streaming on Twitch. And I think you guys would enjoy them. They have good energy. Back in school, we received a CD called Link's English for Kids. That's all we had. Hey guys, I'm trying to improve my Spanish. I downloaded Duolingo. Trying to improve my Spanish. I'm still learning in my learning arc. Isn't Duolingo using AI? In what form? Spanish or vanish? What the? Is that a thing people say? Okay, where's the place I wanted to send you? Oh, cooking stream. Ba-da-ba-da. Okay, let's see. Can I raid this person? I don't know if they're accepting raids because they're kind of new to the platform. No, I cannot raid them. Ha 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 ha. Duolingo faced severe backlash in 2025 to 2026 after announcing an AI-first strategy that replaced many contract translators and cultural experts with AI, leading to reduced content quality, user rage quitting, and the deletion of their social media accounts. Where did you get that information from? State your sources. I'll look into that, though. Google, did you read it from the AI blurb? Give me good information. Golly. I trusted you. Let's see. Can we say hi? Golly, I don't know where to send you guys. I could send you to some art. Actually, you said Sussy Bakas. Let's go to Among Us. He's been streaming for a long time though. Are they still going? I think they're still going. We're gonna go visit a train. You ready to go visit a train? Train time! If you're coming with us on this raid, you can grab the raid message. Downloading Zest! But yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming to this educational stream. I hope you got something out of it. Yeah! And then, I don't know, not streaming again, so you'll just have to, watch the Sokiels. Keep an eye on the Sokiels. But yeah, I'm gonna post my ramblings to the socials, and then I'm gonna go have dinner. Oh my golly, it's late. This is what happens when I get fixated, when I have my fixations on math. But yeah, have a wonderful beginning to your weekend, guys, and I will talk to you soon. Bye! Bye for now!